We are quite honored to have Jill Tahmooressi with us. She is the mom of a hero, of a guy who had served tour after tour after tour and had been serving in our name in the U.S. military. Andrew Tahmooressi. He's a guy who went to San Diego to be treated for PTSD in a culture that says we hold our military to the highest standard. To the culture that says, oh, I'm a flag waver. Oh, I stand up and I applaud and I pat those military guys on the back. I walk across the airport to shake their hand and say thank you. If that's who you are, then you need to know this story. Because this is one of the most unbelievable stories I've ever heard, as we are quite honestly peeing on our soldiers in the VA hospitals. This guy is taken to San Diego, and he is suffering from PTSD, and he's going to get treatment. He's living in his car, his truck. So he has all of his stuff in his truck. He is literally about 3 blocks away from, and maybe a block away as the crow flies, but about 3 blocks away from the border of Mexico. Jill Tahmooressi has been trying to get her son's story out. He has been in a Mexican maximum security prison now for 52 days. We'll play what Duncan Hunter told me about John Kerry coming up in just a minute. But it is disgusting and despicable the way our government is behaving on this. Jill Tahmooressi, welcome to the program. How are you?
Thank you, Glenn.
Last time we spoke, last week, you told me that he was in a parking lot at 10 o'clock. It was at 10 o'clock at night, right? He was at a parking lot. Now, I have heard conflicting stories, and until I sat with you, I didn't want to. I went with the story that everybody agreed on, that he was just on the freeway. But they have that story wrong. He did get on the freeway for literally just a couple of 100 feet, but he was in a parking lot. Now, I have the parking lot here on a map, and I'm just going to, and I urge you to go online and watch this, and if you're in a car or something, you watch the TV show tonight, because I'm going to have her take this through it, and I want to have some animation made so we can see. But when you see where he was and how easy it was to get lost, it is really like being in any major city, and you're trying to get to one store, and because you miss a one-way street, you now have to go another block and around the corner. It's that easy on what he did, and he's now in prison for it. This is the parking lot. Could you direct Jeffy and show him where the parking lot, where your son was? Is that the parking lot here?
See the blue bus station symbol right there, Jeff? Jeff, down. Put your hand down a little bit over and now to the right. Where the blue, now up. Sorry, up. Right there. See the blue little symbol?
Yep.
Now go up a little into that parking lot. Right there. That's the parking lot.
Okay.
I call it a $7 parking lot because that's how much it costs me to park there. $7 parking lot. That's where he was.
Okay, so now where does he get out?
Okay, so Jeffy, if you could put your finger down, he's in the parking lot. Trace it down to the blue symbol, okay? That's your exit from the parking lot. That was his first left. Now, go to the left, and he made his second left. No, sorry, your other left. Yeah, right there. And thinking that, right. No, up, Glenn. Right up. Okay, that's it. And straight into the Mexican customs lane. You're now corralled. You're in the right lane. No way to cross. You are corralled by barriers. Do you see that that's only 50 feet? That's not even 3 blocks, Glenn.
And
that's 50 feet from the parking lot. And he turned left and a second left right there. And there is no big hazard signs. There's no big flashing lights. There's no you're going to Mexico and big flashing signs.
I saw what Mike Slater showed. He went out, and it was confusing. And there was no way out on the freeway. And everybody is saying, well, there's signs and everything else. No, this whole area is under construction. And at the time, there were no flashing lights. They have put those up since. And so now he comes out of that parking lot. He makes one wrong turn. One. And this has happened. This is a spaghetti junction of all of these streets. He makes one wrong turn, and he goes onto this on-ramp, basically. It's just like this giant loop, and it's at the end of the on-ramp is the U.S.-Mexican border.
And frankly, we focused a lot on the mistake he made. I don't give a rat's ass if he made a mistake or drove there on purpose. Send him home. Who cares?
Well, if he
didn't do anything wrong.
Here's the thing.
Didn't do anything wrong.
If he was trying to smuggle, and that's what they're accusing him of.
But he's not.
He's trying to, I know that.
Obviously.
But he is trying to smuggle these guns.
How many smugglers say, yeah, I've got some guns in the back of my...
How many smugglers call 911 and say, I made a mistake, I think they're going to take my guns away? At that point, and this 911 call proves his innocence. No smuggler is going to call 911.
And I'm sorry, how many Mexican illegals who are violent criminals did we just release? Was it thousands?
Here's the thing, Jill, and maybe you can bring us up to speed on this, and I don't want to make this more painful for you, but I talked to Duncan yesterday, and he said now, for some reason, and I don't know who it is that's stirring it up on the other side, and I quite honestly would not be surprised if it wasn't our own people, but somebody is stirring this up on the other side of the border and now making a case out of this and saying no special exceptions for American citizens. And just because this guy is a Marine, no special exceptions. And the reason why I say I wouldn't put it past these guys is because you never let a good emergency go to waste. And what they're going to do is, well, we'll release him, but you've got to have comprehensive immigration reform. I'll bet you that will come. Tell me what you have heard going on the other side of the border. And
honestly, Glenn, I cannot corrupt myself by hearing any lies, because everything that's going on the other side of the border is that my son's a criminal. I cannot corrupt my mind. I'm keeping it pure with the truth and the faith that Andrew and I stand on. So honestly, I don't even read that junk. And all I know is the truth, and I'm prayerful that there is a judicial process down there that's based on truth, and that he will be able to say his statement truthfully, and the evidence clearly speaks to his truth.
I don't understand how this is being left up to any judicial process in
it's a phone
Mexico.
Call for John Kerry.
It's a phone call from Kerry or Obama, and you say, put him on a bus and get his ass to the border now. That's what you say. You say, we're not putting up with this. Send him home now.
They don't care.
Did
you have the Duncan Hunter? Do you have the Duncan Hunter audio?
Not yet.
Okay, get that audio. We'll play it here in a few minutes. But that audio will... I don't know if you saw the show yesterday. Did you know that about reaching out to John Kerry and his response? How does that make you feel?
Well, I know that... abandoned, of course. Andrew is a current Marine. His commander-in-chief is President Obama. He was just called up for a mustard order on June 14th to report to Hialeah, Florida. So how does it make me feel that no one from the White House has called me? Secretary of State John Kerry has not called me.
Has anybody from the Pentagon?
And so abandoned is how I... No. Except for the legislators, brave, bold men and women like Congressman Duncan Hunter, Andrews, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Senator Bill Nelson, those kind of folks, our public servants have been writing letters, but no one beyond that point.
Well, we have to give credit where credit is due, and I'm not a fan of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, but she is on the right side on this one.
Yeah, she has been helpful, huh?
Yes.
This is what's so frustrating about this story is that it's obvious.
Yeah,
you don't need to be a genius to get this one right. I don't understand it. I don't understand how this is still going on. This is a conversation we should have been having on day 2 with him down there, not day 60.
So can you tell me who is representing him on the other side?
Well, Glenn, the day I got the phone call from Andrew, April 1st, once they had booked him, he said, "Mom, I've been arrested," because he did not think he would be arrested. His first impression from the customs agents was that they believed it was a mistake. They were flagging an escort car to help him turn around, but that didn't happen once the military came on board and he had like 20 officers pointing a gun at him. So when he got arrested April 1st, he said, "Mom, get me a lawyer." So I immediately called the State Department for that to figure out how do I go about doing that. There's a list. The U.S. Consular Services in Tijuana, Mexico has a list So I prayed on it, called 3 or 4 folks, didn't get phone calls. I did get a phone call from a lawyer who happened to also speak English, which is a benefit. So I hired him off the list, and he is his representative today.
The consulate, or was it the attorney, said that he should say that he had never been to Mexico, even though he had.
His attorney directed him. In the statement, Andrew says that he accidentally entered into Mexico. That was true. With his 3 guns and all illegally purchased, U.S. purchased, and all of his possessions. But everything other than that was directed by the attorney. And he explained to Andrew that it needed to be short and simple, that our judicial system is totally different. What you would do in America is not what you would do in Mexico. So what we know, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, apparently does not apply in Mexico. Plus, you're guilty before, and you have to prove your innocence. So he helped Andrew and me understand that he has pursued a case like this before. We've got to trust him and know that it's a different kind of law, and it's got to be simple and short, and the prosecutors will not gather any data to defunct that statement.
He stood up to.
Yes, he did. That one thing, my son has a lot of character, and I have raised him to have high integrity and to not lie. He is not a liar. He stood up and said, "That's a lie. I've been to Mexico." When was it a criminal act to go to Mexico? He wasn't afraid to say he had been to Mexico. He had just walked over from he had been in Mexico and just walked over. But the attorney shushed him, told him to sit down, get it under control. This is the script. If you put on record that you've been to Mexico, that's going to put up a red flag. So again, he had to put his trust in the lawyer that I got him.
He's been living in a friend's backyard since the end of January. We take such poor care of our soldiers. When he got his appointment and tested positive for PTSD, you as a mom had to have thought, okay, my son's getting some help. When he went down to San Diego, you had to have felt good. Why was he, this is a question that I heard, he had just finished his first day of therapy?
His first evaluation at the VA was March 12th, where he tested positive for PTSD. And then he started his treatment plan, which included an orientation and a group therapy session. And that day on the 31st, there's a medical record about a group therapy session.
Why was he in that $7 parking lot?
Because he had wanted to go to Tijuana for the night, for dinner, maybe for a drink. There's a place in Tijuana that I'd say it's a rite of passage that Marines from Camp Pendleton go to. So he was alone, walked across, parked responsibly, knowing you don't drive into Mexico.
And you don't take
this
your
is
guns.
how everybody walks in. I walked in. I parked in that same parking lot when I had to meet with the attorney in Tijuana. So you walk into Tijuana, you go to the fun place, wherever that is, and he walked out at 10 o'clock at night and literally made a left instead of a right, and he ended up back in Mexico.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. We've talked about these prisons that he was in. First prison is known to be a drug lord prison. Known that the drug lords, the first prison he was in, has just had several people murdered in the middle of the night then the drug lords just come in and they purge the prisons, anybody they want to purge. Your son called you that night and said, "They're going to kill me, Mom." Do you have any idea why he felt that way?
All I know is it was the most horrifying phone call I've ever experienced in his, when he went out to Alaska, when he did his 2 tours in Afghanistan, when he got blown up by the IED. It was nothing compared to what that phone call was. When he literally told me, "Mom, I'm not going to make it through the night. I'm not going to make it through the night, but Mom, whatever you do, again, this is my noble, honorable son. He's not really thinking about himself. He says, Mom, whatever you do, don't come down to investigate. Don't ask questions because your life will be in danger too. You'll be killed also. But Mom, I'm not going to make it through the night. And then click.
I can't imagine what that night was like for you. The next morning, you get a call?
Then I thought I lost my baby. But then within 10 hours, I get another phone call. And the elation in his voice is amazing. And he says, Mom, I escaped. But don't worry, I'm in a safer part of the jail. I feel protected here. And I said, what? What do you mean you escaped? He said, Mom, don't worry. I got into a safer part of the jail. I feel safer here. I'm protected here. He said, Mom, there were hitmen. This is now when he gives me the details. Mom, there were hitmen in that cell with me, and I was going to be raped, tortured, and executed, and they showed me the stretcher that I was going to go out in a body bag. I had to get out of there. They were going to kill me. And then I just wept and thanked the Lord Almighty that he had given him the strength and courage to get out of an imminent death situation.
Okay, so he didn't escape from the prison. He just escaped from that area.
Into a safer part of the jail where I feel protected here. The officers are going to take care of me here.
This place now, he was then transferred and chained to his bed,
But then he was chained to his bed for 35 days, not one, not two, spread eagle, 4 points for 35 days.
35 days, spread eagle, chained to a bed, and the prison that he is in literally opened up the gates. The guards gave their vehicles and their guns to the drug lords. And there was a killing spree all night just a couple of years ago. One of the most dangerous, out-of-control prisons in the world. And this is where our Marine is. More in just a second. We are with Jill Tahmooressi. Her son is a Marine sergeant and is being held in a Mexican prison. Day 52 of this guy. Being held in a maximum security prison. This is a total and complete outrage. Tonight at 5 o'clock, I want you to watch the show, and I want you to see the update. We had Mike Slater drive the freeway, but that's not the situation. The situation is much worse than what you saw if you watched the show this week. It is literally one wrong turn, and you're on this spaghetti loop right into Mexico on the border, and that's what happened. I will tell you that we were talking during the break, and Jill, you want people to call the White House or go to get on the whitehouse.gov?
Whitehouse.gov petition.
Okay, and sign the petition and...
Yeah. Right, because at 100,000 signatures, that's the threshold where the White House must respond. But I need 10,000 signatures a day because that ends on May 31st.
It's really easy. If you just Google White House petitions, it'll and then click on We the People, then it goes right to the page.
I have to tell you.
And the petition has 46,000 signatures already.
Okay, so sign up the petition. I will tell you, Jill, that I have such, this is awful to say, but I have such little faith in the President of the United States and this website being anything other than you sign up and then I collect your address and I can send you, campaign notifications. But we have to try absolutely everything that we can because he has a hearing on the 31st.
Right. The May 28th is the first official statement of evidence. Now, woefully, it's 60 days delayed from the actual arrest because on May 28th, the border agents, the customs agents on the Mexico and Mexican official military will provide their statement of what happened at the border. That's what's planned on May 28th before the judge that's residing over the case.
I live right down the street from Rossboro, and I was thinking about your son this weekend, and I was thinking about all of the military that I know, and I thought to myself, you know what, Ross Perot, he would have just funded it himself, and he would have just called his military friends and said, I'll get you on a plane, what do you need? And they'd break him out. That's what we did in Iran. Ross Perot went and saved our soldiers. However, Ross Perot was doing that at a time when we had Ronald Reagan. and he was Ross Perot. I will tell you that I think that taking these things into our own hands is a colossally bad idea. But I don't believe in the White House, and I don't believe in the State Department, because I think that I think they're fine with this. I think they're going to use it any way they can for comprehensive something. And I believe that they are also possibly behind the stirring up of the Mexicans. Now, there is another reason for this, stirring up of the Mexican population against your son, trying to say no special favors. I personally think it has everything to do with immigration reform. But you have heard that the customs chief in Mexico was caught in a scandal. Can you tell me anything about that?
All I know is that I was appalled and mortified, and my worst fear came true when I read the custom director, Alejandro Gonzalez, state uncategorically that my son said that he was driving purposefully into Tijuana to meet friends and to seek medical care. That was my worst nightmare, because flat out lie. For one, my son has medical care. With the Affordable Care Act, he is still covered under our excellent insurance plan until he's 26. Full medical, dental, and vision, plus the VA. So there's no reason why he would ever go down to Mexico for medical care, especially for one, they don't even know how to treat foreign combat PTSD. They never send their military to fight foreign wars. And he didn't have any friends in Tijuana. So that makes me believe if the custom director is already putting out that statement and the border guards have not even officially placed their statement before the judge, I mean, that is like totally corrupt and doomed, is my opinion on that. Now, as far as the gentleman himself, I haven't researched him. I just have heard a little bit about, he may not be the most honorable gentleman.
A guy in charge of the Mexican side of the border in customs? No, I can't. I find that hard to believe. There is another route, and that is you have had a few rallies, and there's more rallies coming up. You've had one in Florida. You have some more coming up. You want to tell me about those?
Thank you. Yes, we do have a Facebook page, free Sergeant Tahmooressi from Mexican jail, and so we keep a lot of our events on that page. But starting with Cinco de Mayo, the day that symbolizes unity, I was very hopeful that we would have a united front with Mexico and America with an outcry, to release this Marine. So that was our first rally in front of the Mexican consulates across America. I was in the Miami location one, and then we just had one on Monday of this week. In addition, and we'll have another rally on May 31st, which will be the last possible date to collect those whitehouse.gov petitions.
If you are somebody that wants to get involved on these rallies, I urge you to do so. If your church or your organization or your 912 project wants to get involved in peaceful resistance, the best thing we can do is surround a Mexican consulate arm in arm and pray and be peaceful and loving and good neighbors without any rage, without any anger, without any malice. Go and petition them and plea on their best nature. Let us be the neighbors that we know we are to Mexico. No matter what Mexico might be doing to us, let us not become everything we despise. Let us plead to the better nature and let people from coast to coast see it. Even if it's on Fox and The Blaze and it is no place else, that's fine. Let them see the difference between good and evil. Let them see what people do when they take action about being good, decent, honorable, upstanding, loving, Christ-like, and show that, because that's the way to get people to pay attention to this story. Moms make all the difference in the world. The more moms we can get to plead to the Mexican consulates, the better off we are. Having a bunch of soldiers, a bunch of people who want to bring their AR or anything else, the faster you will keep this guy in prison. but the more mothers and grandmothers and children of service personnel that calmly, peacefully, lovingly go to these consulates, link arms and pray, and quite honestly, peacefully resist. If it means that moms are going to be handcuffed and taken into jail because they're blocking a street around a consulate and they don't have a permit to do it, well, I personally cannot recommend on national radio that you wouldn't do it exactly the right way, so I'm certainly not doing that. I would make sure that you are taking out your permits and doing everything right, but there comes a time when people have to decide, what is it? What is it that is worth going to jail for? Especially if this serviceman is in a prison, a nightmarish prison, for our sake. Are we going to be the society that just abandons our soldiers? We've promised each other we wouldn't. Well, here's a chance to show that we won't. Our government will. Our government has. Will you? Tell everyone you know. Call all of the politicians that you know. If you happen to be a politician, I'm going to call Rick Perry today, and I'm going to call Greg Abbott today, and make sure that they are aware of it. Can we do a rally here in Dallas around the Mexican consulate? Will you do one wherever there is a Mexican consulate? And with love and peace, because any other way, any shouting, any anger, any other display other than love and peace and unity, that will be the only time this story will ever go on national TV. I promise you. ABC, CBS, and NBC will cover it if you go and you're angry and you are pushing people around, and you will immediately be deemed as racist. Period. And the entire ability to make a case to the rest of the country will be lost. But if you have the restraint, quite honestly, church groups should be doing this. If you have the strength of Christ and you will stand peacefully, turn the other cheek, love your neighbor, love your enemy, if you do that, you will make an impact. Jill, thank you so much. And we're going to go over some of the maps and things where you can see it on TV. And I really want you to lay out, and we'll have you work with our art department. I don't know if we can get that done, but I would like to have some animation, if possible, to be able to see how easy that is to just be at the border. And you just don't know it. Jill, thank you. God bless you.